Okay. We are admitting everybody. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this session. Welcome to PowerSkills Career Summit Transformation Edition. My name is Diana Viola. I'm the Communications Associate at Career Advising and Transition Services at McGill School of Continuing Studies. I would like to introduce you to Mari Deller. She is Faculty Lecturer Marketing at McGill University, and she will moderate this session, and she will introduce our speaker of the day. But before we get started and giving the floor to Mary, we want to present you a message. McGill University is on land which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst indigenous peoples. We respect their territory, and we'll start this session with a land acknowledgement. So please stay muted while we do the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Diana. I am pleased to welcome our guest speaker today, Heather Chavin. She is founder and CEO of GoGoDone. Heather is a marketing guru in the truest sense of the word. She's a founder and CEO of this marketing and networking co-working community that helps solopreneurs market their business, get support, and stay highly productive. Now, the GoGoDone community works side by side on their own businesses in co-working sessions, sprints, and boosting social media audiences. Today, Heather is going to address ways to grow your business. I'm sure there's some solopreneurs that are joining us today, and why wouldn't there be? And those of us who've always dreamed of being a solopreneur, perhaps have that big idea that we just can't wait to launch. Heather's gonna talk to us a little bit about how we can grow our business on social media and get the best ROI that we're all looking for. And on top of that, seeing that it is this time of day when a lot of solopreneurs would reflect on their day and how they're doing and think about tomorrow, she's going to even recommend a couple of free tools to make it a little easier. So I don't want to waste any of more precious time that we have for Heather. Please help me welcome Heather Chavin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm very excited to speak on this topic, which is kind of funny because I'm not a huge fan of marketing, and I end up talking about marketing a lot because apparently I'm not the only one who's not a huge fan of, depends on how much time you want to spend on it. So I have made a kind of a science out of doing as little as possible for the greatest return. I'll talk a little bit more about my background and experience, but I want to start first with a little game. And so let me get to the right place. And so we're going to play a quick little game. I'm going to flash a slide with 3 numbers on it, and I want you to do your best to remember the numbers. Just for yourself, you don't have to type them in the chat or write them down or anything. Okay, so most of us probably got that even though it was fast. 873. How about now? A little bit harder, more going on there. The numbers were 197. A lot harder. The numbers there were 2, 4, and 6. So what's this about? This is about cognitive load, and I'm going to use cognitive load in its like original psychological conceptual version, and I'm going to adopt it for really a less is more, a do less is better kind of idea. The idea behind cognitive load is that the more that's going on, the more that you have to juggle, the harder everything gets. And this lends itself really well to the world of social media, where there's so much going on. How do you, as a solopreneur or small business owner, get heard in that really kind of noisy market? That's one layer of it. The other layer of it is, how do you as a solopreneur compete with those big dogs who have got tons and tons of, they have like a dedicated staff member for Facebook ads, and you have 2 to 3 hours a week total for yourself. So we really want to look at doing this idea of the cognitive load of do less and do it better, of really zeroing in on what's most important for you and for the people that you're serving. So a little more about me. I am calling in from Eugene, Oregon, which is on the unceded lands of the Kalapuya people. I'm a white, cisgendered, heterosexual female. My pronouns are she, her. I'm Jewish. I'm in a long-term monogamous relationship. And I like to do what in my circles is called an inclusive introduction, to just put on the table what my privileges are and some of the things that are important in my own identity for myself. If anyone's visually impaired, I have short, dark bob with bangs to the side. I'm wearing a black shirt today with a dark necklace. So that being said, that's me personally. Me business-wise, I've worked in marketing for a couple of decades now, all for small businesses and contract work for small businesses, and then for my own business, GoGoDone. And I've always been a marketing team of either one or one with some access to contractors. So I know all the free tools. I'm definitely going to give you guys some today. But there are a million of them out there. So if you have any questions around that specifically, especially when we get to the end, anything else that I recommend, you can trigger my memory and I'll share some more of those. But what I'm doing right now, and the kind of story that will follow a little bit through the presentation, is GoGoDone is a co-working community for people to come together, hold each other accountable, be more productive. And then our premium community is called GoGoPublish, and that's solopreneurs, small business people who are looking to grow their business on all levels, but we particularly help each other with social media, which is why I'm talking about social media today. And some of the strategies that I recommend here are embedded in and have been tested in GoGoPublish itself. So you'll hear me reference that. I use it in some of the examples. But that's me, my background, and where I've come from and where my perspective is coming from. Okay, so I know I said 3 steps. We're actually doing kind of like 5. But there's a step 0 that I have found in working with people, that especially solopreneurs and small business owners, they don't want to say no to anyone's money, which I am all for. Don't say no to anyone's money. But you have 2 to 3 hours a week, maybe 5 hours a week to do marketing. You cannot market to the whole world. You cannot compete with a super corporation with a marketing department, right? You need to know who you are for. You can be for more than one person, or one type of person, or one target market, right? You can be for more than one, but you can't be for more than one at a time. So if you haven't already started with a target market, with a really specific, I am for you target market, this is where you need to start. So I'm adding this step 0 because I found so many people fight it because they feel like they're saying no to others. You're not saying no to others. You're saying yes to the person who's most likely to spend money with you. And the people around that person, similar to that person, the message will also resonate with them. So having your niche is how you compete with the big dogs. So I know I'm not supposed to sit here and read my slides, but there are a couple slides in here that I'm going to just sit here and read my slides because I want you guys to see it. I want you guys to hear it. So we're exposed to tens of thousands of messages a day. We listen to the ones that are made for us. Your target market is a group of people that are most likely to buy what you're selling. Having a billion people see your stuff on social media is sure nice for your ego, but if nobody buys what you're selling, who cares? And then they buy it because you're making it especially for them. And they choose you because you understand them better than anyone else on the planet, right? The idea is not to get the most exposure ever on social media. The big corporations have got you on that. What you want is conversions. What you want is to find your people and solve their problems. So if I'm in the market for a purple diamond, what does this mess say to me? I am like, oh, heck yeah, I know exactly where I want to go. I know exactly what that is. I can hear in this market because that's speaking to me. I'm in the market for the purple diamond, like no problem, right? You can cut through the noise when you're giving people exactly what they want. You know exactly who they are and what they want. So when we Another kind of big problem is somebody sits down to program some social media posts and they're like, I don't know what to post. What do I post? Right? That's the quintessential question. What do I post? And so if my target market is small business owners who need marketing assistance, doesn't really narrow down what to post. What language do I use? What aspect of marketing assistance do I propose? Like, what do I put in there? This is like this big generic blanket statement. If I'm marketing to solopreneurs who are responsible for their own marketing of a service business, primarily advertised online, and they have limited marketing knowledge and are not passionate about it, their main concern is to maximize the return on investment for time spent on their marketing. They're looking for support from strategy to execution, or looking for community to support on their business building journey, right? Like you're like, okay, I got like 3 or 4 posts in mind for that. First of all, I'm going to talk about, how to market an online business that's different than a brick and mortar. And I'm going to talk about, how do you maximize your time? What's the best way to spend your time, right? I'm creating that purple diamond where people are like, that's for me. That's for me. So it makes it much easier to craft that message. So with the first description, do you need help with marketing your small business? Nobody's going to hear that. Like everybody's saying that all the time. You've now become irrelevant. You're part of the background noise. But if you say, are you a solopreneur with limited time to market your online service? Are you looking for one-stop marketing solution that includes coaching and community support, right? That message is not for everyone. And there are going to be a lot of people who look at that and they say, thumbs down, no. And that's okay, because they're never going to give me a dime of their money and I'm never going to be able to help them with their problems, right? So it's okay that people think your stuff is irrelevant. They should. You're not selling to everyone. You're selling to your people. So let's see. And I've lost my ability to advance slides. Hold on a second. Here we go. So we're back to our kind of cognitive load concept of doing less and doing it better. Niche down until you find something small enough so that you can be the best at it. One market, one channel to start with. You can grow from there, but until you master one channel, don't add the next one. So I'll see a lot of people, I've had people come in and be like, well, I have to be on fill in the blank. I have to be on TikTok. And I'm like, are your customers on TikTok? Well, I'm selling to small business owners. So yes. And I'm like, you're not selling to small business owners. Who are you selling to? Right. And no, they're not on TikTok because of their age range, because of this, that, and the other thing, right? We dig down into who the target market is. So people think they have to be everywhere all the time. You are not that giant corporation. You need to kick booty in one place for one group of people, and then you can grow from there. So for our first little activity, I want to use the chat. So if you don't have your chat open, click that little chat button along the bottom, the little comment bubble. And I want you guys to take a look at these aspects of a target market. This is a small sliver of what can be included in a target market. So this is just a little sliver of the pie, but this is to get your brain going and to get you thinking. These are the kinds of things we pull together when we're crafting who our target market is. So I have highlighted here social media channel of choice. We're talking about social media today. So I'd like you all to pick three or more of these and tell me who your target market is. And I'd like you to pick your primary social media channel as one of those. So I'm going to give us about a minute to do that, and I'll kind of read them as people post in there. But tell me a little bit about who your target market is. Get at least 3 characteristics in there.
Can you go ahead and repeat the task, Heather? Would you mind? Just
again? And you know what? I even have it right here. I planned ahead. Just had to remember that I planned ahead. So I have it posted now in the chat waterfall. So 3 characteristics or more of your target market from this list, and feel free to bring in stuff from outside as well. And if you're not currently in business and you're considering a side gig or something, go who you imagine your target market will be. All right, Lizanne is using Instagram, excellent. A potter trying to reach a market. I think my niche is women who like unique items and who have some disposable income. That's a really good start. Catherine says 30 to 60-year-old medium-sized company or solo. That sounds very broad to me. Medium-sized company or solo. 2 different markets. Not that you can't have them both, but you got to do them. You got to have a strategy for each of them one at a time. There'll be different kinds of posts that you'll do for the 2 of them most likely. But again, excellent start. $18 to 20 years old, really narrow, nice. Lifestyle, university students, low budget that wish to maintain status in social group, advertising on Instagram. Whew, Natalia, gold star on that one. Somebody spent some time working on it. Rita says LinkedIn, SMB startup for customer success consultancy. Nice, nice. LinkedIn definitely sounds like the right place for that. Startups, that helps you narrow it way down, definitely. If you can pick an industry for that startup, for those startups, or narrow it down to a set of industries, better and better and better. We'll give it another just couple of seconds. Working age group to manage their finances via blogs and YouTube. Nice, nice, the theme. So working age group is very large. Again, I would say you have multiple target markets under this umbrella, but definitely narrowing it down, still working, interested in finances. And that's going to look super different if you're 20 than if you're 64, right? And then blogs and YouTube, nice, YouTube. And then Instagram, 40 to 50 years old, mostly women, blog and organizer. Nice, Dion. Everett is on Facebook, company who make clothing and accessories drawing inspiration from immigrant cultures. We focus on women married with one or more child, 25 to 45 years of age, live in Canada, are professionals, and have immigrated to Canada within the last 10 years. We'll just end on that note. That is a beautifully well-defined target market. And that being said, somebody who's 24 is going to pay attention to that. Somebody who's 50 is going to pay attention to that. There will be some men who pay attention to that. There'll be some single women, some single mothers who pay attention to that, right? So I want to get away from target market means I only serve these people. It means I focus my marketing time and attention on this because they're most likely to buy from me. And then you can expand out from there and you will capture other folks. So beautifully done.
Can I just pause for a second there, Heather?
Yeah.
Just a reminder, if you have questions throughout the session and you would like to raise your hand, or you can type in the chat, I'll monitor both. But maybe just pause for 1 second if someone didn't get a chance to type or maybe has any questions at this point in time for Heather, or maybe didn't feel you had enough to type yet in there. Any questions on what she's spoken to us about so far with respect to target market? Just take a moment.
It's really important.
Great, thank you.
All right. And I'm good with questions anytime. Pop them in the chat as they come up. I'm definitely a questions as you go person. Okay, so our real step one, assuming we know exactly who we're marketing to, we need to know social media's role in our marketing funnel so we can set goals. So the real step one is like measure your social media success, but we need to know what it's for and what success means. And that's what this means. So that takes us to our marketing funnel. If you're going to nerd out about this and you want to look things up, I would look both for marketing and sales funnels, and flywheel is kind of one of the newer concepts because so many of us want repeat business and it's so much easier to upsell a current customer or sell them something else, right? So, but for the purposes of this presentation, we're keeping it real simple with a funnel. So we have different areas of our funnel. We have our awareness up at the top, because we're going to touch a lot of people in social media. Like you'll get 1,000 impressions, but only some of them like your post, right? So we're going to have this big touch broadly, and then we're going to try to bring people in and down the funnel. So we usually have a lot of awareness activities, and then we put a lot, and then we have our engagement and consideration in the middle of the funnel, which are kind of our heavier, meatier content. And then people purchase from you and you onboard them and then you retain them and upsell them and so on and so forth. So for social media, we're talking about this awareness, top of the funnel area. What you're going to want to do with the point of your social media, we're talking about what's the goal? How do I know if my social media, what do I want it to do? How do I know if it's working? Is social media is going to point either to other awareness pieces or it's going to bring you down the funnel. If it's pointing to another awareness piece, it's pointing to another awareness piece to bring you down the funnel. The ultimate goal is to bring you down the funnel. You can also be doing reputation building and some of those things to build trust. But the idea is then to refer you to another awareness piece that then brings you down the funnel, right? Ultimately, solopreneur, you need income. We're here to find our people and trade our fabulous product or service for their dollars. So when you're looking at what's my social media for, it's going to be ultimately always push prospects to the next level of the funnel. But the way you go about doing that depends on the age of your business, what you're selling, what your channel looks like, what's going on. You might want to be building your followers on your social media channel first. So that's where your call to action, where the goal of your social media is to get out there and get more people to follow your channel, right? And that's from awareness to awareness. Nobody's paid you any money yet. But once you have people in your channel or maybe a Facebook group or something like that, then you upsell them. Your lead magnet, your email sequence, one of these engagement and consideration pieces that's like a closer relationship, right? So at awareness, we're at the cocktail party, scoping everybody out, chit-chatting. Engagement and consideration is your first date. And so somebody has exchanged an email for your lead magnet. They've signed up for an email sequence. They've given, basically, you're really getting an email or a very small dollar amount. I'm going to buy this ebook for $2.99 or something along those lines, right? So if my social media, my primary goal of my social media is to get newsletter signups, then I know based on how many people are signing up for my newsletter, if my social media efforts are working. And if they're not, then I know the context in which I want to tweak them and how I want to work with it, be like, it's not working. Do I need to send them to a blog post first and then have the email sign up at the bottom of the blog post, right? So maybe the goal for my social media would be to push people to my blog posts, right? So all of this is going to be a test and see if it works. But you can't test it if you don't know the point of it and what your success metric is. So sit back, sit with how much time you have to spend on this and what assets you have. Don't send people to a newsletter that you're sending out twice a year. That's not going to bring anybody business. What are you doing that's providing value that's really fantastic? If you're not really doing anything, develop that, then push people towards it, but make sure you have something in that funnel. Some people can go from awareness to purchasing, but usually there's something in between. So, so there's your funnel in a nutshell.
Heather, you have a question from Catherine in the chat.
Yes.
Just back to what you were talking just a little bit before the funnel and with the funnel. So Catherine wants to know, what if you set up accounts on Instagram? So you've got multiple, you're on Instagram, et cetera, maybe you're on Facebook, et cetera, and then you scale back to one as per your directive. Are you going to lose out? She'd like to know.
Well, of course, the answer is it depends, but a couple of thoughts on that. The most successful accounts are the ones that are regularly taken care of, right? If you're posting on Instagram once every 2 months, don't worry about it. Like, let her go. If you're posting on it, if you're getting kind of consistent or something like that, you could look at running the two at the same time. So a tactic you can potentially use is to put your time and effort and focus in Facebook and also post to Instagram, but not put a lot of time and effort in there, right? Until you have the time and space and mental bandwidth and so on and so forth, or vice versa, right? Sometimes Facebook and Instagram sometimes are easy because if you have a business account and they have that creator, what do they call it? Content creation center or whatever, it's really easy to post to both at the same time. But your posts in Facebook are going to look different from Instagram. You need your hashtags in Instagram and you can't do any links in Instagram, right? So your campaigns look a little bit different. So if you're already have a certain amount of regularity and you're able to keep that regularity going because it's on autopilot, right? Like you've got a process in, it's not taking too much time. Keep it going. That's not bad to be posting once a week or something like that. Not ideal, but it's okay. You've got it, and get really good at your chosen one where your people are. And you'll usually either find you get enough people from the one or the other one starts to take over. So most people don't need like every channel. It does depend on what you're selling. A lot of times with retail, more is more. If you're like a coach who wants to sell a $4,000 coaching package, you got to build relationships. You got to offer a lot of free stuff and the quizzes and the lead magnets up the wazoo. So it does depend on what you're selling. But if for a very low amount of your own psychological and time investment, you can keep two going, go for it. Like ultimately, if you keep two going, no problem with that. Like more is more until you're tearing your hair out and your kids don't know your name, right? So it's all that game. So yes. So if you can keep them both going, keep them both going. Just don't sacrifice your sanity for it, and be watching what your goals are and what kind of return you're getting on that investment. And then I see a question from Ali or Ali.
Well, we could go before to Dion. Dion has a question before. If you see that, so what if I'm not exactly looking to sell a product service per se, but want instead to attract persons for collaborations and partnerships to earn that way? I've attracted persons Dion has attracted persons who requested their blog articles for their site, but they're not sure how to grow that. Dion's not sure how to grow that exponentially.
You're not selling a product or service, but you want collaboration. So you're looking for greater distribution for your blog articles, it sounds like to me, if I'm interpreting that right. And please do correct me if I didn't get that right. So to grow that exponentially, so you would use social media that for the most part, the same way. What the product you're selling is your blog articles. Basically, if what you want is to be a guest blogger and for everybody to read your blog articles, you're selling right blog articles. So your conversion is going to be probably clicks on the articles. If you're linking to a blog article, you'll have your clicks there. You'll have interactions and comments and those kinds of things. Those will be your metrics of success, because when you approach somebody to collaborate and you want followers. So when you approach somebody and say, I'd love to do a guest blog for you, I have 10,000 followers. Whoever you're offering to guest blog to is going to be like, I would like my product sold to 10,000 people. Yes, you may guest blog for me, right? Or people will come after you. So what you're selling is your following and your blog articles. So those would be your metrics, instead of, is somebody buying my coaching service or did somebody buy my retail product? Hopefully that answers the question. Okay. And then,
yeah, and Everett had a good point, isn't writing a service. So along lines, so it
yeah.
is as well in that category as well.
Yes. And if you could, some guest bloggers are paid too. So for sure, you could look at some of the metrics along that. But your advertising, your advertising to them should probably be back channel, not what they'll come to you and look at your social media as how many followers do you have, what's your content look like, right? But to build the relationships, you're going to want to back channel. You're going to be like DMing on LinkedIn or sending them messages wherever their content is, right? It's probably going to be the actual sales process is probably happening through there. And so your social media becomes your beautiful marketing thing, which says, I have all these followers, I do all this beautiful work.
How about one more from the chat, Heather, before you move on? Ali's question here. I'll read it for those people who might be visually impaired. Can lead magnet campaigns be done at the awareness stage?
Yeah, so absolutely. So what I would look at is, if you have a great lead magnet, your social media goal is signups for your lead magnet. That's going to be your primary goal. So, so you'll do a post and you'll try out different language to try to get people to click and to come to your lead magnet. If your lead magnet costs money, you might have to work on you might have to work on some trust building. So your social media you might need people to touch your service, product or service a couple of times to build enough trust to pay money. But if it's just an email, you'll have a lot more facility with that. So I would go to a free lead magnet, and there's nothing to say that lead magnet should be followed by an email nurture sequence that could sell a paid lead magnet, right? So lead magnets can lead to lead magnets, and then you bring people further and further down the funnel. So that's an excellent way to, and make sure that lead magnet, this will be step 3, is talking about, providing value. But if that lead magnet's really juicy and really good, like, you're beautifully positioned to upsell somebody into a bigger purchase or into a dollar amount purchase. Excellent. Good questions, you guys. Okay. Are we caught up, Mary?
We are.
Okay. Okay. So we probably have pretty much covered this. This is just what we talked about. Your questions brought it all up. Have that primary call to action. Know what your primary call to action is so you can measure. Signing up for lead magnet, great way to go. Sign up for your newsletter, great way to go. Visiting your website, following you on the social media channel, or maybe following your blog. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's do a breakout session, because getting to know each other and networking and learning from each other is magic. So I'll set up a breakout room. Where's my breakout room button? Give you 1 second. Breakout rooms. I'm going to put you guys in, assign automatically. I'm going to randomly put you in groups of, come here, 3 to 4 participants. And you'll see in the chat, I have put, share your name, where you're calling from, and your business, or the business you're thinking about creating. And then discuss your primary goal for your social media. And if you haven't created a business yet, project what you think it might be, or just listen attentively to the other folks in your room. And we've got a little Q&A time. So we're going to have about 7 minutes for this. And rooms are created and rooms are open. And I've got my timer, 32, so I have 40. We'll go back. Yeah, we're doing. Got a couple of.
Can I just ask if anyone's having trouble sliding over to the room? We can slide you over if need be. Sometimes on your phones, I know if you're connecting on from your phones today, sometimes the breakout rooms are hard to get to. So if anyone still who's waiting for a breakout room, if you can't get over there, just speak up and we'll slide you over.
I'm shuffling people a little bit too for the folks who haven't joined. 3, 2. 2, 6.
I think Sonia's along there. She goes. That's perfect.
Yeah. And I think I might try to combine 6 and 7 if they'll let me.
Yeah.
2, 2, 2, move to 6 and move to 6. We have not joined 3. Okay, and not joined. Okay, we look good. Okay, and then I know we're live streaming, so I'm gonna talk to myself. I'll talk to the folks who are still here. I want to talk a little bit about the value of an email list over the value of a social media following. So one of the things that, social media can do a lot of great things for us, but it also, you're not in control. When somebody's given you their email with permission, you own that email. They've given it to you, they've given you permission, and it's yours until they unsubscribe or something along those lines. But the social media channels over the years have changed the algorithms like radically. So back in the day when video was new on social media and Facebook businesses were new, I was working in marketing and I was working for this company, and I'm like, we started a regular Facebook page, we moved it to business, we're doing video, and we're doing all this, and it's just like, and then they changed the algorithm. And what we would post, and when we get a bazillion impressions and all this action, they invented Facebook ads. That's what happened. And then we couldn't get anything. Like we were screwed. Like my whole plan was like in the garbage can. So, luckily we've been gaining emails and all of that. That was part of the campaign, but I was like, we have our email people and we have these people that we can contact. And that really wasn't as true. So social media is in it for social media, not in it for you, not in it for your business. So some aspect of what you do on social media, it needs to drive people to give you their email, to give you permission to contact them. An email list is far more valuable than a social media following for 99% of businesses, because it doesn't matter what social media does. You have this email relationship with people. But another important aspect of email is you cannot abuse it, and the spam filters get smarter and smarter every year. So I'll have a lead magnet at the end of this. And if you come to my lead magnet, it'll say you get to the lead magnet and you're added to the newsletter. Of course you can unsubscribe. You can unsubscribe right away. But I don't give you the lead magnet and then not tell you and then subscribe you to my newsletter, because we didn't enter that agreement. So I will make sure that I am now sending you my newsletter, and absolutely you can unsubscribe. That's no problem. But I don't want to surprise you with it. So we never want to surprise people with an email. Like I literally am marking people as spam, which is like death to your business, right? Things are coming into my inbox where people are mining my email and not asking me for permission to contact me and giving me a super terrible message, by the way, selling me things that are so not relevant. I'm a solopreneur. Why are you selling me something to my HR department? Like, I don't like you, you're spam. So you really want, it's called, Seth Godin coined the term ages ago, permission marketing. You always want to operate from a place of permission. You've asked somebody, you've let them know it's going to happen. Everybody knows you can subscribe and you can unsubscribe. So anybody here who takes my lead magnet and they're like, I'm not interested in the whole thing of what you're selling, I don't want to stay up to date on all those types of things, or the things you're talking about, or I have too many, or this is not how I operate, they just unsubscribe and it's fine. But the second I'm like, haha, got you, and who wants to buy from you? Like nobody wants to, no. So push to email, but always be transparent and do not send somebody something that they have not specifically requested, like requirement. I think that's it's just a best practice far and away. So, and I'm thinking, value of an email list over social media, owning the email list. So I think that's probably my best tip around that. We've got another 2 minutes. Let me just take a quick look at the groups. I'm trying to think if I have anything else around that. The other thing is that I'll say is if you're pushing people to email, you need to be emailing them, and you need to be emailing them in a way that they're expecting it. So, so people will sign up for an email list and people will email them for 6 months. And what happens is your email list ends up like dying. So we could talk about gray mail a little. So there's people who bounce, the emails are bad, it doesn't work. And then there's something called gray mail, which is the email list, the email address that nobody ever opens it and it just sits there. Spam filters will look at that. So if you have a bunch of people on your email list that never open anything ever, 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 I mean, it's another ego thing where you're like, I want a giant email list. But if they're not opening anything ever, they're not really on your email list. If you want to get rid of them, it's called gray mail. You do, what I recommend is you do a recapture campaign. So that would be like you email them a special sequence of emails that say, I notice you're not opening my email. Can I improve it? Are you done? What is it? You know, whatever that looks like for your business is going to be different. Try to rope them back in. Maybe they're not getting your stuff. Maybe they haven't whitelisted you. Lots of different things could be happening. But try to rope them back in. And if they're like, nope, then just don't wait for them to unsubscribe, get rid of them. They're not buying your product. Let them go. Yes, it sucks that your email list isn't as big as it used to be. That's an ego metric. They're not putting money in your pocket. Let them go, let them go, let them go. And MailChimp will start charging you after 500 subscribers. So if 200 of your 600 subscribers are not opening anything ever, ditch them, go back to the free account, save yourself $15 a month, because they're taking $15 a month out of your pocket. Nobody's putting any of that money in your pocket. So that'll be my thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the rooms. And do they get a countdown? They get a 1 minute countdown, which is excellent. Okay. Well, now I need 45 more seconds of content. I don't know. I don't have any.
Maybe I can just mention something. I thought that was a really relevant couple of points, about the gray mail and about that point you just made about, large lists can sometimes be ego metrics. Those are something that's hard for us to, because we are always thinking bigger is better, greater, more. What are my numbers today? What are my numbers? Because as solopreneurs, numbers are relevant in so many areas, right? But that term, that ego metric, that's a hard one to swallow, isn't it, Heather? To those lists.
It is. For those of you coming back, because we're live streaming, I went ahead and talked to myself for your 8 minutes. I talked a little bit about email lists and the quality of your email lists, and a gray mail, which is the people who never open it and who just sit there, and that's a vanity metric or an ego metric. And they're not putting any money in your pocket. You got to let them go. Recapture campaign and then let them go. So if you want my full 8 minute spiel, you can come back and watch the recording. All right, you guys, let's see. So hopefully you got to know one another a little bit and kind of crystallize a little bit what your social media is for, what metric you're going to use to measure whether or not it's successful, and what criteria you're going to use to improve. So now we're on to step 2. Stay consistent with a content calendar. So you've got your funnel, which is your strategy, and the content calendar is the execution of the strategy. So a one random post now and then, that's not going to help you at all. One random email now and then doesn't help you at all. One random anything now and then doesn't happen at all. Cohesive campaigns, that's where it's at. So, so you want a consistent and reliable presence. You're going to build trust, and you want to maximize your ROI always, 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 both on specifically on your time, especially for a solopreneur. That's hands down the number one thing. So our return on investment for our content calendar that's done well. You get time savings because you program in that content calendar, you re-promote content you've already produced. So that blog post should not be posted one time on social media. That's not, no. You spent time building that thing. It's a gold, right? And it's beautiful and it's perfectly crafted for your target market. When I post a link to my blog post on social media, those algorithms are stingy. They're not showing it to anybody. They're showing it to 20, 30, even 100 people. But if I have hundreds of followers, they're not showing it to all, let's say I have 300 followers. They're not showing it to my 300 followers. They're showing it to 14 of them. So when you're like, my God, I'm posting this blog post every 5 minutes. No, you're not. It's on social media. Are you emailing it every 5 minutes? That's spamming. But if you're posting on social media, like, no, that's fantastic. So, so definitely re-promoting your content, and you plug it into the content calendar because you want to know when to do it, right? And you can put it in. There's a free tool relevant to that. And I do want to address what Lizanne said. Instagram depreciates repeat posts. So if it's identical, yes. What I recommend specifically for Instagram, like Facebook is great. You put a video on Facebook and you can go into your little manager and repost the video. They will let you do that. Instagram, stingy. You really need novelty with Instagram, but you don't have to start from square one. So you do not want two identical posts. What you want to do is repurpose that content enough that it's new. It doesn't have to be brand new, right? This great thing about like a really great blog post, number one, you got to promote it multiple times so more people get to see it. But also if I've already seen it, but it's been a while since I've seen it. I mean, this is why we re-promote our content the next week and then 3 months from now and then 6 months from now and then a year from now. It's because I could use the reminder. If it's great content, remind me of that. That's not a bad thing. That's how we learn. We need repetition. And so look at it that way. So for Instagram, what you want to do is you want to take that same content and put a different spin on it. Change, like for some of my contract companies, I'll use a lot of the same templates, but I change the colors and the pictures and enough stuff that's different so it's not identical. The other little pro tip for Instagram is vary your hashtags. So I usually don't try to come up with them on the fly. That is so difficult to do. Like to come up with like 10, 20, 30 hashtags on the fly, have groupings, but have them be different. And then maybe every 6 months, shuffle them a little. You don't have to change the entire hashtags, right? But you shuffle them so you're not doing the same hashtags every time. Instagram also does not like that. So yeah. So use photos of a nice pot from different angles. That's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. You're like right on it, Lizanne. Excellent. Okay, so we want to be re-promoting our content. Content calendar helps us like do that. Like you write a blog post, then you put it in, and then you put it in, and then you put it in, right? And then when you flip over to like October's content calendar, half of the posts are already filled out with your evergreen content. Yay. Okay, we want to post on advantageous days at advantageous times. The data on this has gotten weird. So we had really pretty good data from 2019 when I did my research in 2020, when I did my research in 2021 for 2020. Well, we all know what 2020 was. Everything was really weird. So everybody who collects data had something different to say. I have not seen anything that's cohesive other than like more is more on Twitter because it's about novelty and don't do too much because then that people are like, no, it's too much. And the algorithms will be like, you post too much. We're not sharing your stuff. So those are like our two ends, which is super unhelpful. But what data that does not lie is your own data about your own people. So and the other thing, let me step back for a second. What they all agree on is quality content survives. Like if it's good stuff, it's going to make it. So, but your own data about your own people is really great. And so one of these companies that I work for, we do a lot of video because it suits the product. And so we were doing all this video and I worked for them for a period of time. So we had a lot of our own data and I was varying lots of different times to post it. Friday nights and Saturday mornings. Nobody on earth is going to recommend that you post on Friday nights and Saturday mornings. But our people were watching on Friday nights and Saturday mornings. It was video, it was to a very specific type of market and so on and so forth. So watch, you're not going to be posting enough to get amazing data if you're just starting. Post once a week regularly to Facebook. And if that's what you can do, that's what you can do. But start to vary the times a little and see if you get anything different. When you add a second post, right? So do that a little bit strategically. It's not going to be scientifically relevant and perfect, right? But do what you can with your own data and then know your own people. Every time you have a conversation with one of your customers, like know your people, know when they're online and what they're doing when they're online on social media in particular. If you ever have events or anything, it's so great to have this content calendar. You're like, okay, here's the event date. Let's work backwards. Promote, promote, promote in the week before and promote, promote, promote. If you're like, I have an event in 2 weeks, what's my plan? Right? Like, I don't know. What is my plan? You can take advantage of holidays and local events and things like that if you're a local service. And then build relationships by consistently curating other thought leaders' content. How fabulous is it when somebody shares your stuff to their channel? Woohoo! Well, guess what? Other people have followers that you want to be your followers as well. Share their stuff too. And we'll talk about that in some bonus tips. We'll revisit that. But you put that in your content calendar. You're like, I have in mind, go to Near EL, repost one of his things and comment on one of his things, right? Like, so he's somebody who works for the types of stuff I'm posting, right? And so I'll put that in there. So again, returning to our cognitive load. We are solopreneurs. We have only so many hours in the day. We've got to stay really clear on what we're doing, and we have to do it incredibly well. So I know all of you have experienced what is called decision fatigue. I probably don't even need to define it. Like, I'm in charge of everything all the time. If you ask me to make one more decision, my head's going to explode. So you've worked a hard day and your business is struggling and it's COVID and it's crazy and the kids and you don't even know what school is going to be and blah, blah, blah. And you sit down to do your marketing work and you say to yourself, what should I post? Oh my God, you're going to go straight to a bottle of wine, straight to yelling at the kids, straight to the refrigerator, who knows what, right? It's going to go make you just crazy. This is why we have a content calendar. When you sit down in that stressed state and you're like, I can't make a single decision, you open your content calendar, it tells you exactly what to do. You're going to make a post about this event and you're going to use this graphic and this is the text you're going to use. Go. So watch that cognitive load. So let's look at an example of a content calendar. So here's an example of this particular content calendar is what I'm using for a contract client. So my annotator turned off. Let me get my little highlighter. So I have what week it is. And then I have up here what we like to do on a regular basis. I might not follow this video, course, curate, quote. I might not follow that, but I have that in there as my template. This is the type of thing I should be doing every week. So what video am I going to put? If they don't give me a video, I'm doing something else. They gave me a video. Great. I'm going to do Val's video. This is the specific course I'm going to promote because it's the one that's coming up and their fall series is ready. I'm going to promote their fall series. And then I'm going to curate somebody else's content, one of their partners, so I can access their partner's audience. And then we're going to have a quote from the blog. And these two are going to be done by the contractor. So here's what I know is going to happen or was supposed to happen this week, right? And then I go in here, I've already pre-established the best days and times for us to post based on this is basically based on the 2019 data because 2020 is so crazy. And they're a new company, they don't have a lot of data. I actually am a little remiss. I need to go back and look at the data from the past, maybe 6 months that I've been working with them and see if I can glean anything. A funny story, I had my time zone set wrong. There are systems out there where you program stuff in and it publishes for you. I accidentally was on some European time zone. Their default was like Europe or something. I ended up posting a bunch of stuff at like 12 and 1 in the morning. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I need to like refund some of their payments? And they had great interaction. So they had early morning East Coast. This is my theory. Early morning East Coasters, and they do have some European folks. And nobody was posting in America at that time, right? Like, so I got really good exposure, which was really funny. But this is why I look at your own data. So anyway, I've determined the times and dates, and I've got a spread that I think is acceptable. If they pay me to do more hours, I'm going to start exploring different times and see if they work. I initial who's going to have it done because we have a contractor or we might have a contractor. And then which topic I'm going to do. And then in here, I put the text and the specific link to where I want to go and any relevant note. Don't get lazy on this one. Put your text in here and then copy paste it into the post itself or into your scheduler. Because what happens 3 weeks from now when I'm like, I got to advertise the COMT 6 again. I don't know what to say. They gave me this much, right? They're my contractor. They give me content, but they don't give me a ton. They give me this much content. I'm tired. Decision fatigue is set in. Cognitive load blown my head out of the water. I'm going to go back and I'm going to copy the text from 3 weeks ago that nobody remembers. And then I'm going to, I'm going to take that text and like modify it a little, move it around, delete half of it, do something different, something along those lines. So, so save your text in there and make sure that you use it. Okay. So here is great free tool. Let me put this, I'm going to put this in the chat, you guys. This is an affiliate link, so I do benefit from this. But if you want to, just Google, where's my annotator? Missing letter. If you're like, no, I don't play with affiliate links, just go to missing letter. But I don't think any of you need the paid version. If you are a solopreneur, you probably don't need the paid version. And what it does is it connects your one blog of your choice to one social media outlet of your choice. And then it does some of the content calendar tasks, which is you can go in and it will say, we'll create a campaign for you. What kind of campaign do you want? Do you want an event that's a 2-week heavy blast? Do you want an event that's a 2-week light blast? Do you want an evergreen post that's 6 months? Do you want an evergreen post that's 12 months? So what that means is you have an event coming up, you want to blast your social media. Makes sense. Your evergreen content, stuff that's just as good next year as it is this year. And it will space it out for you over the next 12 months. And we'll do one today, one 3 days from now, 1 week from now, one 2 weeks from now, one a month from now, one 3 months from now, one 12 months, 6 months from now, something like that. It gives you that pacing for it. And then you can just pop in your content calendar that you programmed it in missing letter and which article it was. So it does, I wish it could take the place of a content calendar. If they continue to evolve, they might, but they just don't have the whole picture in there. You can't put placeholders in there. So, but highly, if you have a lot of evergreen content in your blog posts, well worth it. Well worth it. Definitely recommend it. All right, our 80-20 Pareto Principle. The Pareto Principle is that 20% of the inputs create 80% of the output. How we want to apply this for us is you want to spend 80% of your efforts promoting your content and 20% of your efforts creating it. You use the word efforts specifically here, not time. We want the robot to put the effort in. We want missing letter to put the effort in. So one blog post, you write it one time, but you promote it multiple times. So that's the effort, but make the robots do the effort. All right, step 3, our last step, creating content worth consuming. So what is content worth consuming? Really, the answer to this is what your target market wants, what they're reading, what they respond to. So your metrics help with this. You can also talk to your customers. So, so if you're doing anything like a longer social media post, a blog post, a lead magnet, or a website or landing page, you must get feedback. Do not operate in a vacuum. The author of there's a reason why the writing industry has editors. You can't edit your own content, not really. So if you're going to create anything that takes anything more than, a few minutes, make sure you have somebody else looking at it. So, so in GoGoPublish, we're creating a new product to help people build lead magnets. And so what I did is I'm working with this guy called Peter Nakamura. I'll put him in here. This is a paid service. It's not free. I'm usually about all the free stuff. This one's paid, but he's helping me go through, and we built this landing page, which was the product. We built the product, which was represented by a landing page. And then we took it through a mastermind session in GoGoPublish, which totally switched it around. And then we went through 5 different customer interviews. You probably have 5 people who will do you the favor of sitting down with you for half an hour to an hour and giving you feedback on something, right? So especially for websites and landing pages, because your social media is pushing to those, going to be pushing to those so often, especially for that, make sure that you're getting feedback on that. And then of course, the lead magnet. What's the point of social media pushing to the lead magnet? You have their email. They've got to love what you're providing for them. So get feedback. It's so important that I built it into GoGoPublish. You don't have to pay for it. You guys are here. You just networked with a bunch of other solopreneurs. Like, you can build your own network of feedback, or maybe you have something that you can offer to your super users. Like you have 5 people who will go to the ends of earth for you. Maybe that every time you do a new lead magnet, they look at your lead magnet and your landing page and give you feedback. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. People tell you that you are not perfect, right? We already know that though. So embrace the discomfort and go for it. So that being said, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. If you've reviewed your landing page 3 times and you're like, well, I might need to tweak a period and move a comma, no, publish that thing right now and start using it. You can always change it as you go. Okay, we do not have time for a breakout, you guys. I really apologize for that, but we will do one last chat waterfall. I want to give you a couple of bonuses and we'll end with our little chat waterfall. So a couple of bonus points, the algorithms. So here's the biggest pain in the rear with social media. They decide what's important and what's not. So part of GoGoPublish is we co-promote each other's stuff. It's also something called pods. You'll hear people talk about pods. So, Publish is a paid thing, but if you're like, budget $0, get some friends, right? You just met 2 or 3 of them right here. Get some people who, when you post, right, we have specific times of day that we post and we all come together and we like and we comment and we like and we comment. And what that does is it tells the algorithm, this is worth sharing with more people. Then you watch that and you see if anybody else likes or comments it that wasn't in that pod, and you reach out to them, or you try to connect with them, or like their page, or do whatever's going to work for your funnel for your specific business. But it's really hard if you don't have a following to compete with those big dogs if you don't have that. It's called the golden hour, the first hour after posting. If you don't have anybody in that golden hour, like liking and commenting, it's really hard to get seen. From my experience, if you can get at least 8 or 10, you see a big boost. So get a little group of folks together, and at least once or twice a week, come together, and you don't have to do a ton. You just like it, and don't make a comment that said, this is great. Like, that's a throwaway comment, but you can tell people what to say, right? So do that. Tag people if they will actually comment on your post. Most places, if you tag a bazillion people and nobody responds, they will penalize you. If you tag 1 million people and 1 million people respond, 2 thumbs up. Responding to, if somebody's nice enough to leave a comment back. They like to see conversation going. And then, valuable comments to influencers. I talked about this a little bit earlier. If I want somebody else's following, if I want people who follow so-and-so to follow me, then I can go to their page and make really generous, valuable comments there. So again, cognitive load, do it less, do it better. I gave you probably 1,000 tips right here. So, I want to say, let's sum it up really quick in our last couple of minutes. Number 0, make sure you know who your target market is. Get more specific. And if you're not finding that you're getting a result from your social media, get more specific. Know the point of your social media so you can measure it. What's its role in your funnel? Have a content calendar so you can execute the strategy, right? The funnel's the strategy, that role in the goals, and then the content calendar is the execution of that strategy. And then content worth consuming, get feedback, and then our bonus tips around co-promotion, tagging, and commenting. So fire hose of information in this hour. So let's reduce that cognitive load to one thing. So in the chat, how about you state your next measurable baby step to improve your social media presence within 1 week. So by next Wednesday, what's one thing you can do before then? Get to know the target market. Wonderful, Monica. Yeah.
Looks like
Post once a week.
Yeah, Lisanne's going to add some stories to her story.
Yep, I like it. I like it. Post once a week with a great picture and get 3 likes. Woohoo! One thing I could do is to repost other content from persons I want to emulate. Beautiful. Post daily on Instagram, but I don't do stories often. Ooh, explore stories. Make it easier to sign up for my newsletter, from my newsletter. Ooh, that's excellent. That's excellent. I like it. Anyone else? Any other goals out there? I have to be careful of time. We're really at 3:30. Post an article on customer retention on LinkedIn. Beautiful, Rita. Beautifully, love it. I love it. It's very specific. Okay. So if you guys want the content calendar sample, and I'll put this in the chat. This is my lead magnet, you guys, and it will sign you up for my newsletter, and you can always unsubscribe, right? Clear what promises are. If you want a sample content calendar, that's there. And it comes with all the other links to missing letter. I don't think I talked about this, but there's the My Story brand, which is a really helpful tool for really narrowing in on your target market and on their story. And then, links to Peter and some other people who are paid, but the core, the freebie, is that missing letter, which I really think is fantastic. And then you're more than welcome to a copy. It's in Google Sheets. So you're more than welcome to a copy of that content calendar if that's something that you want to build. Any other questions? Sorry, we're just like a minute over. Any other last minute questions?
There were a couple of the questions in the chat. I'm wondering if people can reach out to you as well. I know we're at 6:30 here, but Eastern Standard, but there are a couple of other questions that people had posted. There we go. There's the way to reach you. Some people are asking. We had Kamal who asked about, how do you know what time, your people are online, those kinds of things. Other people have asked for some of the terms, explanation of some of the terms, a little gloss.
I'm sorry I jargoned you guys. That's super lame. I jargoned you. I apologize for that. I really don't like to do that.
And so maybe some of these things, they could reach out to you directly. Heather, does that sound good on some of these other questions?
Absolutely. And I nerd out over all this. I love it. Please do email me. You are most welcome to. I would love it.
I want to thank Heather so much for being with us today. I mean, there's so many things. She said she would leave us with a few things. She left us with so many things. Something that's resonated that I keep thinking about is I am for you in that target market. Thinking about that Heather mentioned right at that step zero. I love it that there's a step zero. It makes me feel that we've got a jumping off point, and that feels good. And that we can't market to the whole world, because maybe that's something that there's been the desire here. But a lot of the nuggets and your steps, this is live, can go back and visit and go back as recorded as well. And also just thanking Heather for all her insights today. I hope she will join us again on the next PowerSkills. That would be wonderful. It seems like we've just started this conversation, Heather. It really does.
Oh my God, I could go on for hours.
And there's lots of accolades for you in the chat. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we'll see you again. We'll be on with more sessions again tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And we expect to see you tomorrow at PowerSkills. We have many great sessions. We have a good one with Dean Wayne. Actually, Heather knows him well.
A shout out to Dean. He is amazing. Go to his session. Also, Terumi Okano. If you are struggling with your target market, please do go to Terumi's session. Absolutely. If I said to your comment, oh, that's a little big, you might have 2 or 3 in there, go to Terumi's session, hands down. And Dean is always fantastic.
Highly recommended. So hope to see you around tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.